Have you ever wondered why you keep attracting people who can't love you back? Why the ones you want always feel distant, cold, complicated? Why you give everything, your softness, your loyalty, your patience, yet somehow end up feeling invisible? Carl Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." What if emotionally unavailable people are not your fate, but a mirror reflecting the parts of you that still need healing? Today, we're going to explore the psychological and spiritual reason why these people walk into your life, and why you can finally stop repeating this pattern. It starts beautifully. They are mysterious, intense, charming, the kind of person whose presence feels like a promise. But soon something shifts. They pull away, they become distant, unavailable, and you find yourself chasing someone who keeps disappearing behind emotional walls. You tell yourself, maybe they just need time, maybe they're scared, maybe if I love them harder, they'll finally open up. You wait for the message that arrives, hours late. You hold on to their rare moments of affection like they're proof of something real. You give them patience they never earned and tenderness they never reciprocate. And yet, despite everything, you feel a magnetic pull toward them, like something inside you recognizes them, almost as if your soul whispers, "This person is important." But what if that feeling isn't intuition, but a wound? Attracting emotionally unavailable people is never as random as it feels. It's a pattern shaped quietly, almost invisibly, by your early emotional experiences and the beliefs you formed long before you ever entered your first relationship. Jung believed that we are unconsciously drawn to what is unresolved within us, meaning your attraction is not to the person themselves, but to a familiar emotional environment, one that mirrors how love felt growing up, inconsistent, unpredictable, or conditional. If you learned early in life that affection must be earned, that being seen is rare, or that you must shrink your needs to keep peace, then part of you is wired to feel chemistry with people who recreate that emotional landscape. It's not that you consciously choose someone who can't love you, it's that your nervous system recognizes the distance, the emotional coldness, the chase, and says, "This feels familiar, this feels like home." So instead of choosing what is healthy, you choose what is known. This is why stable, available, emotionally mature people sometimes feel boring or too easy, not because they actually are, but because calm love feels foreign to a heart raised on intensity and uncertainty. The psychology of the pattern is simple but painful. Your mind is magnetized not toward what is good for you, but toward what confirms old wounds. And until you bring those unconscious patterns into the light, they will keep repeating themselves in different faces, different moments, different heartbreaks, pulling you toward the same lesson again and again. Jung's concept of the shadow explains why emotionally unavailable people feel hauntingly familiar. They embody the parts of yourself you've learned to hide, suppress, or deny. The shadow isn't bad, it's simply the unlived, unexpressed parts of your personality, your vulnerability, your anger, your longing, your unmet needs, that you were taught were too much, too needy, or too emotional. When you ignore your own needs, you become drawn to people who ignore them too. When you suppress your desire for connection, you attract someone who is terrified of intimacy. When you reject your softness, you unconsciously seek partners who cannot hold it. Emotionally unavailable people often reflect the exact qualities you've pushed into the dark: fear of closeness, discomfort with being seen, disbelief in your worthiness, or anxiety around deep emotional bonds. In a strange way, they feel like a perfect match, not because they are good for you, but because they mirror your internal conflicts so precisely that you mistake the familiarity for destiny. The shadow doesn't just shape attraction, it chooses it. It pulls you toward people whose emotional limitations echo your own unresolved wounds. And until you face these hidden parts of yourself, you will continue magnetizing partners who act them out for you. The truth is, you are not just attracted to who they are. You are attracted to the part of yourself you've never allowed to exist in the light. One of the deepest reasons emotionally unavailable people enter your life is because they activate the part of you that learned to love by giving, fixing, proving, and performing. If you grew up in environments where affection was inconsistent, where approval was unpredictable, or where your needs were overlooked, you may have unconsciously internalized the belief that love is something you must earn, not something you simply deserve. So, when you meet someone emotionally unavailable, the wound of overgiving wakes up. You lean in, you try harder, you become patient, understanding, forgiving to a fault, and you carry the emotional weight of the entire connection without even noticing. You start explaining their behavior, romanticizing their potential, and shrinking your own needs just to keep the connection alive. The painful truth is that emotionally unavailable people feel strangely comfortable to those who learned to survive on emotional breadcrumbs. Your mind interprets their distance as a challenge, your heart interprets their inconsistency as chemistry, and your old wounds interpret their coldness as an invitation to prove your worth. But overgiving is not love. It is self-abandonment dressed as devotion. You pour and they take, not because you are unworthy, but because your inner child is still trying to win the love it never consistently received. And until that wound is healed, you will keep giving your heart to people who don't know how to hold it. One of the most confusing parts of attracting emotionally unavailable people is the intensity. It feels like fate, like destiny, like a soul connection you can't explain. But what feels like chemistry is often unresolved trauma dressed as passion. When you grow up with unpredictable affection, inconsistent emotional presence, or caretaking roles, your nervous system learns to associate love with uncertainty, distance, and emotional highs and lows. So when you meet someone who gives you just enough attention to stay hopeful, but not enough to feel secure, your brain lights up. Not because they are right for you, but because they match an old emotional blueprint. The push-pull dynamic triggers your survival instincts. The chase, the waiting, the longing, the temporary rush when they finally give you something. It all mimics the emotional roller coaster your body once had to adapt to. This is why emotionally stable, available people can feel boring at first. Your nervous system isn't used to calm, it's addicted to chaos. And trauma bonds are powerful because they're not formed through love, but through emotional unpredictability. You mistake anxiety for attraction, tension for depth, and inconsistency for chemistry. But the truth is simple and heartbreaking. You are not drawn to them because they are your soulmate. You are drawn to them because they feel like your past. And until you heal the nervous system patterns created in childhood, your heart will keep confusing emotional danger with emotional connection. Breaking the cycle of attracting emotionally unavailable people doesn't begin with them. It begins with you, with the moment you stop chasing the love you never received and start giving yourself the love you've been offering to everyone else. The first step is acknowledging your emotional needs without shame, without apology, without calling yourself too sensitive or too much, because these needs are not flaws. They are your compass. The second step is healing the belief that you must earn love. As long as you think affection is a reward for good behavior, you will keep choosing partners who make you work for every drop of attention. Third, you must learn to receive instead of chase. True connection is mutual, steady, and reciprocal. And people who are emotionally available naturally move toward you instead of away from you. The fourth step is strengthening boundaries, not as walls, but as self-respect in action. When you stop tolerating breadcrumbs, unavailable people lose their power because the dynamic they rely on no longer exists. And finally, you must reconnect with your own inner world, your intuition, your longings, your desires, because the more attuned you are to yourself, the less attraction you feel toward emotional coldness. Healing this pattern isn't about becoming harder or colder. It's about becoming so grounded in your worth that anything less than genuine emotional availability feels wrong, not romantic. When you reclaim your self-esteem, your nervous system rewrites its definition of love, and the partners who once felt magnetic begin to feel shallow, inconsistent, and incompatible with who you're becoming. That is the moment everything shifts. The moment you choose yourself, the universe stops sending you lessons and starts sending you people who can finally meet you exactly where you are. You don't attract emotionally unavailable people because you're unworthy. You attract them because a part of you is still waiting to be healed. And the moment you choose yourself, these people will stop feeling like home, because you'll finally know what real love feels like. If you want more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications. Please like and share this video, and tell me in the comments, have you ever fallen for someone emotionally unavailable? Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.